Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pollinate. It has been a couple of weeks since we last launched a Pollinate video. So this time around, I wanted to kind of run you through some updates that we announced at Microsoft Ignite. Now, I say we, and you only see me. So I'm going to bring back my very good friend, Vincent Dahl. So Vincent, if you would like to come back onto screen. There we are. Hey, Vincent, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Yes, very good. I'm still super jealous for you being out in Dubai and me being stuck here in the UK. But yeah, enough of that. In the last couple of weeks, we've had Microsoft Ignite, and HP Poly did make a few announcements, right? We made a couple of big announcements, I think. And let me just actually pull it up on to the big screen here. And if you haven't seen it already, I'll drop the link down below as well, so you are able to kind of follow the HP Press Center. But we actually did a couple of big announcements, right, Vincent?
Yes, we did indeed, and one of them, deserves a little bit of special attention, because PolyLens Room has been announced, will be launched next month, and it's quite an important one. We've been waiting for it, so if that's okay for you, Mo, that's the one I would like to focus on during this Pollinate session.
Yes.
Maybe show a little bit tips and tricks already, because it's still in beta. It hasn't launched yet, but it's coming, and it's really, really close.
So I love it. We're going to give you a sneak preview of what PolyLens for Teams Rooms on Windows looks like. You may notice, obviously, in the press release, we're also launching some new Poly Studio based room kits. In essence, if you have a Studio USB as a BYOD solution, we're going to be providing you with a single SKU solution that enables customers to be able to add a native Microsoft Teams solution. But we'll save that for another episode of Pollinate. In this week's episode, we're really going to concentrate on this bit across here. So what is PolyLens for Microsoft Teams Rooms on Windows? And I guess, just going back to yourself, Vincent, what was the experience like before this was announced? So we know when we look at management for Teams Rooms devices, not just on Poly, but all devices out there, Microsoft tend to recommend the Teams Admin Center. If you are a Pro license holder, then you can use the Pro Management Portal. But we've always said, even at Microsoft, we've always said, those portals are great to manage the basics around hardware and really good to manage resource accounts, but not so good when it comes down to like nitty gritty, granular tweaking of hardware, camera settings, sound settings, etc. That's where Microsoft and all OEMs generally would recommend using a management portal provided from your OEM provider. In our case, it's the PolyLens application, or the PolyLens portal that we use, right, Vincent?
Yes, indeed. And if it's all right with you, I'm going to share a screen here and show you. First of all, this is the PolyLens app page on the HP website. So I'm sure you can find it. We can drop I don't have the banner, but anyway, on this little picture, you can already see two types of lens that you should be familiar with, right? We have PolyLens Desktop, which is installed on a PC, and it manages pretty much everything that's USB connected. So that can be cameras, headsets, anything from Poly that is USB connected. In the same way, we have PolyLens Mobile that will install on your mobile phone and manage any Bluetooth connected headset. So both of them are really, pretty much mainstream by now. They've been around for quite a while.
And just to kind of add to that, I mean, I received a pair of Voyager 360s when I first joined the organization, and one of the first things it tells you to do, it gives you a QR code for you to be able to download the application on your phone. So the Lens app is available on your phone for you to manage those personal devices and update firmware, etc. And then, of course, there is also a desktop version. So if you're using webcams, if you're using headsets, if you're using, anything that's USB connected, you can manage all of that through your desktop app as well.
Yes, and you can do so much more. I mean, yes, you can manage your connected devices, but so can your company. If you sign in with your company credentials, you'll be part of a Lens tenant, which is your company's tenant, obviously. And whoever does the admin will make sure that you're using the right headset in the right firmware version. They can set a number of limits, for instance, like they can configure that you can only get 70 dB max out of the headset, so you can't damage your ears. But even for non-connected devices like video rooms, we can define policies and stuff. So whoever unpacks a poly video room in the US will automatically be in the right time zone, in the right user group, and all that. So it's really a across the globe management solution. In fact, I've been told, and I'm not the biggest lens expert. In fact, I have a much better lens expert in my team, but I've been told that by now, PolyLens manages above 150 devices, different Poly devices. So all of those connected will be managed by Lens Desktop. Now, Lens Desktop is an application that runs on a PC. So many of you will probably say, hey, why don't we just install Desktop on the MTR on Windows and be done with it? Well, the thing is, that application will not work if you're in Skype mode, so in the MTR, in the Teams room mode, let's say. You have to be signed in as an admin for that application to be active and capable of managing devices. And that's why we started developing on the PolyLens room, because if I scroll down just a tiny little bit here, you'll notice that there's not just the two I was talking about. There's also a web app, especially for Chromebooks, obviously. And there is now, or coming soon, there is a Room app. And the Room app is the app you're going to use on an MTR on Windows, the app we're going to show you today.
And that's the one that was announced during Ignite. So all the other ones, they're already out. You can already start using them to manage like your personal devices, of course. But I think for this session, we're going to really talk about, well, what is the Room app? How do you use it? And how do you actually get cracking on it if you want to be able to start using it straight away?
Correct.
What's the first thing you need to do, Vincent?
I'm sorry?
What's the first thing that somebody needs to do to get hold of the Room app?
Well, the first thing you do is obviously you go on the MTR, you sign into Lens, and you go to download that piece of software. Now, of course, in big companies, you can push that software through SCCM, through Intune, through other platforms. You can push the MSI file. But if you just have one device, the easiest is to log in and download it. And if all is well, I'm a bit confused with my mouses here, but there we go. I logged into the Lens platform already. Now, for those of you that don't know Lens, if you go into the tenant or the account information, you have app deployment available. And this is where you can download all the clients, right? The Lens Desktop, you can see, Lens Mobile, the web app, but also the Lens Room app is available.
Nice. Okay, so that's how you would actually find it, right? So lens.poly.com, sign in with the credentials. And
I totally forgot that. Yes, lens.poly.com. Let me show you that very simple URL, lens.poly.com indeed. And you do sign in with your Microsoft account. So it's, well, pretty much single sign-on if it's your company account. You just sign in there, and if you have access to multiple tenants, you can see the different tenants up here. Now, I have my own one, which is empty because I use Hauker's one, with Hauker's the expert. Hauker's one for a little bit of demoing. Now, you log in, you download it, put it on a little stick to install on the MTR, or you can do all this straight from the MTR, of course, and just download it. But what happens once you downloaded it? And that's the next thing I wanted to show. Let me just take the URL away, and then
I'll do it.
Oh, thank you, Mo. And then I'll open up an MTR on Windows. Here you go. But I have two. I opened up the other one. This one already has the Lens client installed. This one is in admin mode, and I opened that in order to drive you through the installation of the Lens app, the Lens Room app. Because installing, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Vincent, and sorry to chime in there. So just to be clear, when you're on your Microsoft Teams Rooms device, it would be the three dots, settings, and then you want to switch over to the admin account, the administrator account, and then you're obviously pull into the Windows environment. And then, of course, open up a web browser and then follow what Vincent does.
Well, you would install the MSI, right? Whether you downloaded it or whether it's on a USB stick, you'll install it, which will bring you into the Lens Room app. And that should open up about now. There we go.
And Vincent, just while we're here, do you mind just maximizing that particular window so we can see it a bit more? Yep, even better.
Is this better?
That's a lot better. Now we can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're just looking at the controller of the MTR. You don't see the, well, that doesn't really matter. Right? So what we're going to do is onboard the device. And of course, this one has been onboarded, so I'm going to reset that. Yes, thank you. This is the onboarding window. Now, there's several ways of doing that. You can integrate to Azure Active Directory, but that would mean that your MTR on Windows runs an AAD identity, which in most cases it does not. So the easiest way is to just say, hey, I want to onboard with a PIN. Now, this should give you a PIN code, which is hopefully loading rather quickly. Well, it is loading. While we wait for that, let me go back to the Lens tenant. And in the Lens tenant, you're going to go to Manage, Register a Device. And as you can see here, hey, you can PIN or QR code on board a device. So register with a PIN. Make sure to mention it's an MTR on Windows. It's a PC-based room system. And then you can add a room name. I'm going to name this one Vincent Dell because it's an old Dell machine. Let's go back and check if I have a PIN code by now. I do. There's a fancy little copy button, which is very, very easy, of course. Well, it's easy, but I'll have to type it because I'm...
No worries. And remember, guys, you know, if you are setting up a brand new Poly MTR system, usually what will happen is it does, you know, give you the option for the PIN at the very beginning as well. But this is a really easy way to go in and do it. So you get the PIN, copy it, paste it into here, and simply hit register, right? Easy as that. There we go.
And once you say register, the device will automatically register. Once you get that green message, you're all done. You can basically go back to the MTR and switch it back to Skype mode, which is the Teams room mode. Or what I usually do is just restart the whole compute part, because that way I'm sure everything is back to normal and back to standard. Now let me switch to the other one. Now this room is back to standard. I can maximize this as well. There we go. Looking at the GC8, and if we go into this device, you'll notice there are several cameras connected to it. Now imagine I'm using this room and the camera is in speaker tracking mode. It keeps zooming in on my face, right? So, well, me being me, I would change the setting, but a CEO being a CEO, he doesn't always know how to change the setting, and he'll probably go, let me call the IT guy and let me ask him to change it. So the IT guy before couldn't change it on the spot. Now they can. All they have to do is go into the PolyLens tenant and go and search in inventory, for instance. Let me just show you the inventory like this. And then I can search on a name, search on a device model, search on anything I really like. So what I'm gonna do here is go to device model and go to HP Mini Conference PC, right? So these are MTRs on Windows. And if I open one, you'll notice that I can see, well, there's a memory stick connected there.
Oh, wow.
Funny. So here's the Teams room, the general one. There's an E70 connected, as well as an old Logi webcam, probably for content. There's a GC8 connected and a Studio R30 connected. Now, from these screens, I can restart the full device, but I can also zoom into one specific camera, for instance, go straight into the settings and simply change them. go, okay, video controls, you don't like the framing, let me change it to group framing. Apply, and I'm done.
Yeah. This is a super easy way of doing it, right? So yes, if you have the technical know-how and you know how to do it on the device, you can use room controls and swipe in and then change, speaker mode, group mode, etc. But this is a great way for organizations that are managing customer sites, or even IT administrators that are managing their estate. Now you have the ability not only to kind of have an inventory of all the devices connected, but what's connected to those devices. And you notice there we also pulled up like a Logitech camera, a non-HP poly camera across there as well. But what I find most important is when we look at Teams Rooms itself, box standard basic, will kind of give you basic settings, really basic settings. Hey, you want speaker tracking, you want group framing, you can select them and away you go. But when you actually move into, let's say, the web UI, and we'll probably do a session about the web UI, or going into the Lens app, as you've seen here, that's where you get really granular. You can start messing about with flicker modes. You can mess about with audio and kind of changing the speaker tracking and group tracking, etc. It gets super, super interesting, especially if you're like us and we like tinkering with things, right? Admittedly, we all do. And every room is slightly different lighting, different, kind of sound in there, whether it's got sound dampening or not. And we need to make adjustments, right? So you can deploy very fast and you can kind of manage on the go as well.
Now, maybe useful to say as well, by the way, I'm showing now the on map view, so you can have all your devices visible on map, and then you can click the little dots and find out how many devices, etc. It can be fun if you have a global company, but PolyLens, by the way, is free of charge. We do not charge you for it. If you have a Poly device, you can create your Lens tenant and connect that device. You will not pay a single dime. Now, for that, you'll have the ability to manage devices, to monitor them, to inventorize them, to change settings, etc. If you want access to insights, how many people are in the room and all that stuff, well, you might want to have the paying version, but we're not charging you for Poly. We're charging you something we call Poly Plus, which is sort of an insurance for your device, right? If you buy a device, you can buy it including Poly Plus. That gives you 24/7 access to support, next day replacement on site if something breaks for any device. And it also gives you that additional level of information from PolyLens. Finally, and this is quite interesting, there is a PolyLens Enterprise license available as well. If you buy that one, you get access to the APIs. So you can use your own software to access PolyLens, monitor devices, get some numbers out of it, etc. That's really popular to any customer that wants to have a smart office.
Yeah.
Because our cameras are capable of providing the number of people in the room. An E70 is capable of giving you not the temperature, the air quality. The TC10 is capable of giving you the temperature in the room. So we can give you all that information with just a single license and an API access.
Wow. That's where it gets super exciting, right? So there you have it, guys. With currently the Poly desktop Lens app for Windows MTR is in beta mode or preview mode. So it's not on general release yet. I believe it's coming out towards the end of the year. It's when it's going to be widely made available. But for now, if you do want to check it out and you do want to try it out, we would highly recommend doing it. Follow the video, download the MSI file on a USB, plug it into your MTR and follow the options, or do it directly from the MTR as Vincent has shown you. And check it out. Check it out, all the settings that you're able to kind of go in there and tinker with if you want. Vincent, as always, thank you so much for blessing us and joining us on another Pollinate session. I can tell there's so much more that we can talk about on the Lens app. So we promise, I was going to say I promise, but I think we should do we promise. We will start bringing a few more videos to start talking into a bit more detail about some of the other features that PolyLens, the PolyLens portal does actually bring. Please do make sure to use the comments down below. Use the comments. Me and Vincent do read them. We answer them. My team will also be reading them as well. Let us know what you would like to see. Let us know if you have any questions. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video far and wide. With that in mind, I just want to say thank you so much for joining this session. Vincent, I will let
One
you
more thing,
wrap
though.
up this particular session.
Yeah, I just wanted to give them slight preview for the next session as well, because next week Mo and I are doing something we haven't done yet, and that is a road trip. We are doing a road trip to the Netherlands. I'm not sharing any more details. You'll have to watch the video when it comes out, but we're gonna go on site and record something for you guys. So definitely word following us.
Watch out for that one. I think it's going to be a really good video, and we're going to bring you some pretty interesting things, especially if you do live out there in Amsterdam. And I'm pointing up because I've got a little license plate from Amsterdam, and that shows kind of the nature of the cycling culture that they have. I like cycling. I don't look like it, but I do. I love cycling. But with that in mind, guys, thank you so much for this week's episode of Pollinate. I just want to say thank you again. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Vincent, any last words? Any final words?
Well, thanks for watching today, and see you next week. Well, next video. There we go.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.